there is this anti-feminist party that is poised to try to get some votes in the coming up election. So this party is called the Justice for Men and Boys, and they have such hits as the Lying Feminists of the Month, as well as manifestos about the ugly truth, the glass ceiling delusion, and David Cameron. Now this party is headed by Mike Buchanan, who seems a little jaded because he was working for the Conservative Party as a business consultant up until David Cameron pushed an all-female party ticket. And he quit after that and was like, fuck it, there's too much vagina in my party. I'm sick of this shit. I'm doing my own party. And this guy is a little bit of a wonderful person. He says things like, to call yourself a feminist should be no more acceptable than calling yourself a bigot or a sexist or a fascist. So to him, feminism is pretty much on the same level as any neo-Nazi person. He also has an 80-page manifesto outlining how a party should be run, with things like all-male schools with all-male staffs being put forward, cutting half of the gestation or half of the time between conception and abortion so that women have less time to actually get an abortion, which I don't know how that's pro-male in any way, but he seems to think that he's helping. And the whole purpose of this, because Mr. Buchanan knows that nobody's crazy enough to actually have a following for this kind of shenanigans, the whole purpose is to raise awareness of the anti-feminism movement that's happening in the UK. So it's like, a part of me really has a hard time taking this man seriously, because, just to be honest, to have a party that's called Justice for Men and Boys is kind of on the pedophilia side, not gonna lie. It's a little weird. I won't touch it, but I'm just saying, why do we have little boys in this title as well? But also it's a little sad because, you know, they don't have a place. And this man felt the need that his asshole ways of being against feminism would just not be welcomed. And at least here in America, there's the wonderful GOP that would have taken him in with open arms and probably implemented half the shit that he once implemented in his own party. So I'd say score one for us Americans for being awesome and welcoming in the bigots, because everybody needs a place to speak. And it's unfortunate that Mr. Buchanan does not have a place to speak. So Jeff, do you have any feelings towards Mr. Buchanan's views, or?
It's really weird how part of his platform is restricting the rights of women when it comes to abortion. What does that have to do with justice for men and boys? Like, that's my question. Like, okay, if there are some serious issues, if you want to look at, you know, things like custody and, you know, childcare and even gender roles for men, right? You can have some really legitimate points. This guy could actually come up with legitimate points if he really tried, if we really look for them, because there are points of where men don't have a fair shake in the system as compared to women, right? There are some. But this guy, he's not going that direction. This guy doesn't go at all. He goes off into crazy land is where he goes. He doesn't want to have a legitimate discussion from where I'm sitting. From where I'm looking at it, nothing about him seems like legitimately looking for justice for men and boys. This is more of like anti-women. Like, somebody must have done him wrong or something, right? You don't have that much hatred for no reason.
Well, yeah, it was those several chicks that got a bump up by David Cameron that really pissed him off, I think. And it's interesting because it's like, you know, of course, it's not just men and boys. Even though their target demographic are people who have penises, it's also for the women who love being in the shackles. And I think to this guy, I mean, feminism has several different waves, several different definitions. There are first wave, second wave, third wave feminisms. So it's like, who are you really against? And also, is it really...
I have the answer to that, actually. They're against. He's against Tumblr, like the Tumblr feminism.
But they don't even Tumblr feminism is not even that serious. Like the things that he's worried about, and he doesn't mention anything that could be rationally discussed. Like you're right, there are. I don't know about the UK, but in the US, there are certain laws that kind of skew away from fathers, for instance, as far as custody. It's harder for a man to get custody of his child. Let's say if the mother is, batshit crazy or something like that.
Right, and that's a definite gender equality issue, and that's what, like, I don't know if feminism also tries to do that, tries to discuss that issue, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, because there are other issues of raising up women to equality with men. So yeah. I don't really think that they're really focused on the man part.
I mean, but I think there are feminists who do focus on that, because the whole point is to break down gender roles, because to put people in these boxes, it doesn't just box women. When you say, hey, women need to stay in the kitchen, that doesn't just box them. It also forces men to have to stay out of the kitchen, to have to go out and work and be the breadwinner and put all that kind of pressure. And from what I've heard from other feminists is that, the whole point is to break that mold and say, hey, you can also be a man who's nurturing, who cooks at the house, who doesn't babysit their kids but parents their kids, that doesn't, just take out the garbage, but also runs the bath and helps the kids do the homework and all that stuff. Like the gender is fluid.
And that's the thing. Like, this guy doesn't focus on gender parity.
Oh no.
And this guy's just like, woman, get back in the kitchen. I want to restrict your abortion. Your right to a legal abortion. Like, some of the stuff that he says is fucking crazy, right? For example, there's no glass ceiling. None. No, there's no glass ceiling. We hear a lot about misogyny, but that's actually very rare. That's a quote. But a hatred for men is very commonplace.
Yes. What? Because the world is full of he-man, women hate, or women that hate men that are Amazons and shit. It's like we're all living in a Futurama episode where most women just want snoo, and then we just kill you guys, and then it's done for. Like, that's the kind of
like do you think that it's that like women are praying mantises, that like as soon as you have sex with a man, you rip his head off?
Oh yeah. And I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the only reason why he wants to slow down abortion is to make sure that the boys that get born do get born. Because we don't have enough penises. I mean,
I thought about that, actually. I considered that.
Yeah.
As being plausible. So.
A little disgusting. And the emphasis on boys and putting them in all-male schools with all-male staff is kind of nonsensical to me. I mean, you're in school for like the first 18 years of your life, true enough. But eventually you have to go out to the world, and half of the population is female. So how do you learn how to deal with the dynamics and relationships of females if you are never around them during the most impressionable times of your life? That doesn't make any sense. And this is I know a lot of people diss on Muslims and their culture, but this is something that is very fundamentalist in my sensing. Like, I know that in the Islam culture, they do have separate rooms for praying, separate rooms for schooling. And if we're trying to move forward and away from that as Westerners, I would think that this idea is just completely unappealing to the majority of the people in the UK. I would hope so.
Well, like, that's probably why most people haven't heard of this guy, and why he himself admits that, like, I'm going to have like 12 people behind me, and that's it. Like, he says, quote, I guess our target demographic is more men than women. And I was telling you earlier when we were discussing this in the pre-show, like, yeah, that's because you know, no women, just about no woman would ever vote for this. Like, who would?
Oh, no. That's just retarded. Like the whole. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a Michelle Bachmann somewhere in the UK that's like, yes, my husband should be dictating my life and telling me this and all this stuff. There's probably a few of them sprinkled around, but I'm pretty sure the majority of us are kind of sick of shit like this and want to move away from shit.